Hi, my name's Meg Howe, and this is my proposal for the restoration of Gateshead Riverside Park. My proposal focuses specifically in the area of the Dunstan Staiths, but could fit into a larger proposal for the whole area at a further date. So let's just get straight into it. So my overall proposal is an interactive and immersive theatre experience. This would be in a pop-up theatre, so I'm thinking something along the lines of a marquee or a tent that is put up for a specific amount of time and is filled with interactive theatrical performances to tell the origin story of Dunstan Staiths. This experience would be called Life Before the Staiths and would be exploring an extended time period from the 1600s to the 1800s. The aim would be to connect local, national and international people to the thriving history of coal mining in the Northeast through exploring the largest timber structure in Europe. So, to give a little bit of context for the Staiths, and this is the same information that might be provided online on a website, on any social media accounts, or in some kind of brochure. Dunstan Staiths were first opened in 1893 by North Eastern Railways, and they were opened to transport coal that had been mined in County Durham. And I think that this connection to kind of the rest of the Northeast region is really important because it highlights the potential for further heritage plans and partnerships with other councils in the area. The Staiths were a product of industrialisation in the Tyne region, and this Grade 2 listed structure significantly highlights the thriving coal mining trade that became a principal source of wealth in the region, specifically in the 20th century. While the Staiths are a kind of physical reminder of the industrial history of the Northeast, my proposal serves to remember the social history of this booming industry, the keelmen of the Tyne. So the keelmen of the Tyne were the predecessors of the Staiths. They were the industrial transport workers, or manpower, I guess, who carried the coal from the riverbanks to the ships to be transported over the country and further afield across the world. The crews of keelmen were made up of men and boys who created this vibrant and close-knit community, both when they were working and also during kind of social and leisure time. One really interesting fact that I learned while researching keelmen was that they had their own dialect. So this is definitely something that could be kind of brought into the interactive element of the experience within my proposal. For example, there could be quizzes, kind of guess the meaning of this dialect word, or even teaching the dialect words as well. So before the industrialisation period, keelmen had played an essential role in the coal mining industry of Tyneside for hundreds of years. And it's this that makes me think that many families with mining heritage in the area would have ancestry kind of that dates back to these communities. So these keelmen were employed by business tyrants who were known as hostmen. And like many employers of the 16 to 1800s, the hostmen were very exploitative, and therefore the keelmen experienced poor working conditions and were overworked and underpaid. And this led to a series of strikes taking place between 1709 and 1750. So when the Staiths were built, the employment of the keelmen decreased, and this eventually led to their demise. So my proposal begins by kind of showcasing the origins of this booming industry within the Northeast region and showing that while the Staiths did play such a predominant role, hence why they are still there and kind of such an important structure in the area, I also think it's just as necessary to understand the social history and to be educating people on the role that these keelmen played. So my plan for Gateshead Riverside Park is inspired by the Jorvik Viking Centre in York. And this family attraction tells the rich history of York through the means of live interactive theatre. So with this inspiration in mind, the target audience for my proposal would be families with younger children or groups of primary school aged kids. When I was younger, some of my fondest memories are visiting history attractions such as Eden Camp and the Jorvik Centre, and so I'd love to provide an experience that would give the next generation of children these same memories as well. So as previously stated, this would be a live interactive experience called Life Before the Staiths that would tell the local heritage through theatrical performances of the working and social lives of the keelmen and their families. So when I visited Gateshead Riverside Park, there were quite a large number of open spaces, and one of these was a large concrete space that ran alongside the riverside. The Staiths were a less than 5-minute walk away, as well as being able to be seen pretty clearly. There was also a fantastic view of the famous Tyne bridges. And so this space would be the perfect size for a pop-up tent or marquee, and it's also the perfect walking distance from the Staiths Cafe. As said, this proposal could be part of a wider plan or a wider project, but it would be ideal for it to take place between April and September, as this is the opening season for the Staiths. So visitors who came to see the live attraction would also be able to explore and kind of walk along the Staiths themselves after or before having learnt the heritage. It would also be ideal for this proposal to take place in a time that included the first and or second Saturday of the month, because this aligns with the food markets that take place too. And having all of these events take place at the same time means that there's kind of already a pre-established audience kind of people attending these events, and it also means that less money has to be spent on the branding and the advertising side of this, because the pre-existing channels such as the Friends of the Staiths Facebook group or the promotional material for the food market, this doesn't have to be rebranded, and therefore that means more money can be used, for the events and the proposal itself. It would also be lovely to have the event taking place during these summer months, not only for the fantastic weather, but also it means that school trips can take place towards the end of the school term as well. In terms of who would be involved with this project, it would be a perfect opportunity to partner with local theatre and Amdram companies. So, for example, the Bluebell Theatre Company in Gateshead have a huge repertoire of working at live theatre events, and this would also be the perfect opportunity for capital to be gained for local businesses, including the Staiths Cafe that I mentioned earlier. There's also a website called Newcastle Gateshead, which dedicates time to making digital plaques rather than physical plaques that kind of erode with time and with weather. So creating a digital plaque for the Staiths and kind of having that promoted on this tourism website is definitely something that could be done as well. So on this final slide, I just wanted to showcase the large concrete area that I was talking about earlier, and you can see the view of the Tyne bridges as well as the view of the Staiths and how close the Staiths would be to this area as well. So thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to seeing the development of this area and what's done with it in the future.